Hello and welcome to another episode of Tetrad TV. That's right, episode 5. We have been on the air officially for 1 month. So excited. Anyway, welcome to episode 5, everybody. Tonight's episode, Toxic Offenders in Gaming. It's a deep dive subject that we have a lot to say on because there's a lot of stuff going on in the news and everything about it. But we'll get into that later. Let me welcome everybody. We've got Hand Grenade, Raccoon Eyes, Last Pen Fighter, and of course me, Knee-Link. Hand Grenade, what have you been up to this week, man?
This week's actually been a very, very, very long week. I've had some family issues aside, some plumbing issues aside. My boy is now gone from pancake to boom boom because he's a brute.
Nice.
Yeah, we've named him Boom Boom. If anybody wants to see this kid, linebacker, a wall. We built a wall, right? Or not a wall. Build a wall. We built this cage for him. This huge cage. He's got all kinds of toys there. He's got a little it was a roach coach type thing where you could feed him. Like you can act like he's feeding people. We got him a little kitchen set because the kid's always in the kitchen with me, right? So
of course.
Instead of actually walking out of it like a normal person, when we open the door, he barges right through it. Just a wall. He picks a wall and walks right through it. So
Hulk smash.
Exactly.
He's a little man tank. I like it.
Yes, he's more. I've also found out I'm more Viking than I am Scottish today, which kind of saddened me.
That saddened you?
Yeah,
you don't want to play that new Assassin's Creed coming out and like feel your people's heritage.
I felt like I connected with William Wallace more than I connected with a Viking. With that being said, I've managed to figure out the dungeon in Destiny quite well. Me and my buddy Fluffy.
Prophecy.
Yeah, Prophecy. We can get through it without a problem, and we're going to start doing carries all week. And this week in my channel, I'm going to be running one day until I get it done. I'm going to keep going until I solo flawless all 3 back to back.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, it's going to be a long run if I fail at the Prophecy and die.
That'll be a lot of fun. I might have to join you. Oh, wait, my light level's too low.
Well, we could get you, as long as you're above 1020, man, we can get anybody through it.
Yeah. Penn, what have you been up to this week?
Yeah, so this week, not a ton of streaming. Sorry, Pen Fighter Posse. Been dealing with the health issues that are leading to my surgery, which will be Wednesday next week. So no streaming for me this week either. We did play some Warframe. We had a really good time there. We grew as a channel this week. Met a lot of new good friends. Got some good raids, actually 2 from 2 different Warframe partners. So that was pretty cool. And I played some West of Dead on the stream as well. So I'm excited. That's the game I'll be reviewing for you guys tonight. But yeah, not a whole lot going on the channel, guys. What's going on with you, Link?
For me, I kind of did a variety stream thing throughout the week. I played this new Hard Space Shipbreaker, which I'll talk about a little bit later because that's the game I'm reviewing. Caught up on some Pokemon, which was a lot of fun. Because I had never really beat the game. I got to the end of it and then didn't do like the last 2 quests. And then playing the new DLC that came out for Sword and Shield. It's been a lot of fun. So doing a whole bunch of variety stuff. I've been enjoying it. How about you, Raccoon?
I have been doing not a whole heck of a lot myself. So this week I did a little bit of drawing. I've been doing kind of a little bit off to the side. Have a lot more planned this coming week. I know Thursday I'm doing a specialty stream with my sister, which is going to be fun. Yeah, we're going to both be playing Destiny. She's really terrible at it, so it should be fun to watch. So we'll see how well I can handle that. But outside of that, not a whole heck of a lot. I'm just going to keep doing some Destiny streams, a few more drawing streams, trying to incorporate that into my normal way and get back at it. So what's kind of been going on news-wise this week, or in general?
News-wise, well, there's been a lot of news stuff, but let's get into the deep dive news later. First, let's talk about the video games coming out this week. Not a whole lot, but just enough. We've got Hunting Simulator 2 coming out tomorrow. So if you're in a hunting simulator, all right, that comes out on all platforms. Trackmania, for all you racing fans, comes out on PC on July 1st. So Trackmania Racing. And, of course, Iron Man VR on the 3rd of July on PS4. So that PS4 VR. I know, Raccoon, you had mentioned that we definitely wanted to talk about that just a little bit this week. It looked pretty cool, right?
It does look pretty damn cool. I don't know if you guys give a shot to the Spider-Man VR that they also did previously, but it was pretty exciting to try out. I have a PSVR system myself, and I'm interested in seeing how
Is that
plays.
is that worth the money?
The PSVR?
The PSVR, yes and no. Yes and no. So the PSVR is a great tool if you want to, and you absolutely have to try out those VR experiences. But the unfortunate part is a lot of those VR experiences are gone and done with. One of the first games I picked up was like, I think it was an offshoot of Eve, and it's dead. It's entirely
Eve
dead.
Valkyrie, right?
Yeah, it's
Valkyrie.
broken and done. I was super excited and I was quite disappointed. Now they are still releasing VR games that are pretty damn awesome, but just be prepared that those games aren't going to last. Not big enough community.
Do you think it's because the VR games themselves aren't like what everybody would want them to be right now, or do you think it's just because like
cost effective
mechanics and the cost? Okay.
And the
I
cost.
just want Sword Art Online. Like, give me a Nerve Gear any day.
I think
I've never ever done a VR game. The closest I came was one of those VR boys where it went over your.
Oh right, yeah.
I had an HTC Vive for a little while, and I really enjoyed it. On one of my highlights on my channel, you can check out me playing this game, Audio Shield. Not sure if I had to delete those or not from the DMCA's, but anyway, you had these two shields, and you blocked these balls coming at you in time with the music. It was a lot of fun.
Beat Saber, guys. If you have
Saber.
never done
that does look dope.
The shit out of Beat Saber.
Beat Saber is legit. I've done it on the I think it's the HTC Vive, and I've done it on PSVR both. And I don't care what you're using. That thing is great. It is fantastic.
Awesome.
And you can just download a whole bunch of models and be like Goku doing it or some shit. You never know. Yeah,
totally.
It's fantastic.
So, also coming out later on this month, we've got Dying Light, the Hell Raid DLC. So, what I was reading about this was that it was supposed to be a standalone game, and then they decided to just fold it into Dying Light. And I love the Dying Light series. The last expansion they did for it was awesome. I'm excited to see what they do with this DLC. That comes out on the 23rd.
Is this DLC what they announced at E3 last year when it was actually up and running? Like the whole, like it showed like the Capitol building and everything like that?
I'm not sure if it's that one. It's called Hell Raid, and I think that you go to hell or something.
I'm not
entirely certain.
There it is.
So it looks really cool. I love Dying Light, so big fan of that.
Yeah, Dying Light's a lot of fun.
I know Everspace 2 just came out with a demo, although Penn has some words to say about that.
Yeah, so I played this demo because Everspace, roguelites, space games, those are all my stuff. So that's like a fusion of all the things I love. Had a lot of fun with that game. That game's well documented as being a pretty fun experience. Everspace 2 is a departure. They're not doing roguelike. So I wanted to get my hands on that prototype and see what it felt like. And it felt they have the same easy to use, really fun, fast and fluid and smooth ship-to-ship combat. It's a lot of fun. But what I found really exciting was you can just kind of point your ship anywhere and jump into hyperspace. And then once you're in there, there's kind of like a fluid like map situation where there's like points around you that are unknown, or a couple of them had names, and you could just go to whatever you want. It's like open-ended exploration.
Oh, that's awesome.
In Everspace instead of a roguelike. So looked like it had a lot more story elements, leveling up, RPG. So they're definitely going more of like the solo RPG exploration experience with this one. So that looks pretty fun. The demo is free on Steam right now. I suggest guys giving that a try. Give that build a try. It's pretty big. You're gonna need some
now. Don't
space,
they call it a prototype, not a demo?
Yeah. So Steam calls it a demo, but the folks over there with the game call it a prototype. So you guys will have to jump in and give that a look for yourselves, feel it out. But this could be one of those next space game titans that we're going to be playing a lot.
I enjoyed the first Everspace. It was almost like it was in space, but it was on a flat plane in space. Kind of, sort of. But I'm a big fan of sci-fi games. So speaking of sci-fi, Cyberpunk 2077 officially delayed to November 19th. But what they just announced was if you buy a PS4 or Xbox One version of the game, you get a free upgrade to the PS5 or Series X when it comes out in 2021 on those consoles. So
that's pretty cool.
So you can
They're not
buy
the only ones
the
doing it,
PS4 or
though.
Xbox One version and still get it for the next gen console. So
That's good. That's good
good
news.
on you, CD Projekt Red. We
Right.
appreciate that as gamers. Save our wallets.
Stop beating them up.
Stop beating them up. All right, so in anime, brand new Animal is coming to Netflix tomorrow. I already watched it because it was already out in Japan and on Crunchyroll, I believe. But officially to the masses now on Netflix. If you haven't watched BNA, it is awesome. It's nothing like Beastars. It's way more action-packed and fantastic. It's Studio Trigger, and Studio Trigger always has this eccentric art style, and I love anything Studio Trigger puts out. So check out BNA on Netflix. Yeah. Don't forget, Anime Expo is this coming weekend. Now, as we know, coronavirus and everything being out there, COVID-19, all events are closed down, but you can check out Anime Expo Lite on Twitch and YouTube for free and check out all the announcements from all the big anime studios. Watch the trailers. It'll be really cool to see what they do with Anime Expo Lite. That is on the 3rd and 4th. You can check out more information at anime-expo.org for that. I know I'm going to be watching everything on the 3rd and 4th. It's going to be great.
Be exciting.
You're gonna be busy, yeah.
Normally, I have a bunch of friends that come down to LA and we all go to Anime Expo and have a fine old dandy time. But we're all just gonna hang out online and watch it this time.
Sometimes that's all that's needed.
That's
Sometimes
the
all
safe
that's
option.
In TV shows this week, what's up?
You know, like, yeah, it's all cool and all, but hanging out at Anime Expo. But one of the cool parts about going to an expo is like all the cool shit you can't get at a collecting, like a comic book store or stuff like that. You know. So I truly enjoy going to the actual expos. I don't like the crowds. I hate the crowds. In fact, I like to get there early or super late.
Wait
But
in
you still
line.
get all. Yeah.
You make a good point there, Grenade. Like I was just reading my comic book store. I Want More Comics here in Denver. Amazing comic book store. I was going to bring this up a comic section, but just like with the expos, they just made a post. Like I said, doing free comic book day. They're doing free comic book month.
Oh,
wow.
that's so rad. Wait, are they just in Colorado? Or is this going to be like a thing like countrywide?
So I don't know. That's this local one here. I don't know about any other stores that they're going to be doing it, but I know it's something that a lot of these comic book store owners are contemplating, and they're going to basically hold on to a lot of the free comic book day stuff, and they're going to give it out through poll lists, or they'll have a check-in list where you can sign up online to go in at certain times of the day, and they could have a few people in the store, and you can come get some of that free loot, and they're going to hold off on like some releases that are happening now. They're not going to give out until as late as like August or September, just to give everybody a chance to get in there and have an experience in the store. It's interesting how people are trying to deal with COVID during the free comic book times.
Right.
You know,
I'd say comic book day, free comic book day is rad because like that's
yeah.
one of those times when you can actually like push the book itself versus something that's online or going to watch Comic Historian or anything like that. Like to me, that's like it's like nothing beats the smell of opening a fresh book. You know what I mean? Or the feel and like the whole, you know. So like to me, that's how I feel about comics. So I'm stoked that they do that.
Yeah, dude, awesome. Here last year we had the dude who wrote Fight Club in our I Want More Comics over here, and that's how I met the Metal Shade guys.
Okay.
Was they set up a stand? So anyway, it just sucks that expos, cons, comic book day. I'm missing all that from my life right now, guys.
Speaking of comic books, let's move right into that section. We have a few comic books coming out this week, at least number ones. As we all know, comic books are ever evolving and ever moving, and there's always a new one coming out, but we're just going to kind of hit the number ones of each new series coming out. Negan Lives, number one, a Walking Dead Negan spin-off, an official comic for that, coming out on the 1st, this Wednesday. And Marvel Action Comics, Avengers, starring Iron Man number one. Fly into action with these exciting stories about Iron Man. So check that out on the 1st as well.
Yeah.
Interesting that comic books come out on Wednesdays. I didn't
Right?
realize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else is like Tuesday, Friday. Comics are like, nah, we got Wednesday. Wednesday's our day. And I know that Grenade and Raccoon were really excited about some new news on the Metal Batman, Dark Batman Universe series and T-Rex Batman. Raccoon, Grenade, do you want to explain that a little bit more?
Sure, Grenade, do you want to take it away with regards to that one?
I have no idea what T-Rex Batman is because I have not had a chance to get into it. Like, it's been a long couple weeks, but the only thing I have to ask and say, is it Death Metal Batman that just started, or is it still Metal Batman? Because I thought Metal Batman was over.
It's Death Metal Batman.
Oh,
so it's an entire
Death Metal
series.
Batman. Okay.
Mm-hmm. It's part of the Dark Multiverse. It's an own little side part off. We got introduced to a ton of different Batmans over the last year or so. We got the Water Batman, we got the T-Rex Batman, we got the Green Lantern Batman. All of these guys are offshoots of the original Batman that went evil, and all these other types of things that all came from it. And it all goes back to the Batman Who Laughs. And then from there, now we're starting to talk about the other characters in the Dark Multiverse. Things like, dark versions of Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash. All these other characters are starting to come into a play, and it has a few different series that are going to be coming out over the next few months, culminating in something big in October, which is really exciting.
Do you think what they're going to do now, because see, my personal opinion with it was, like, I love the series. I got the whole fucking series behind me, and Batman Who Laughs. And also, if you were to buy the issue number 1 or the first print of Batman Who Laughs, you got a pretty sweet metal soundtrack to read that goes along with the book as you're reading it.
Oh, that's dope. That's cool.
Yeah, and it had some of the coolest riffs. But with that being said, with the ending of like the whole Dark universe and the whole Flashpoint Paradox universe that just ended with the new Justice League Dark, I feel with how popular Batman Who Laughs, Metal Batman, and with Death Metal Batman coming out, I feel like that Joker himself is so demonic, and it's part of the multiverse, and it ties into the DC universe as well. I think that's going to be their new official reboot of the DC universe into something like Flashpoint did. And there's a lot of hints at it too, like when you're reading it.
So what I'm seeing is, think about this like Marvel's Ultimate Universe versus their regular universe.
Yep.
This is what I'm thinking DC's doing. They're pulling into this entire separate multiverse that they're touching base on, because I mean, this is a multiverse. There's still repeated different versions of the characters across them, and they're moving between the different universes in that tiny time frame. It's definitely its own path, though. They're not converging as much into the DC's regular timeline as some of the previous, like with the Batman Who Laughs, who literally was trying to affect all the timelines and such like that, and was failing because something to do with the creator of the multiverse. It's a very complicated story.
Yeah,
I don't know if I quite like. But
it was actually very hard to follow. Like, even reading all the books, I got online and watched Comic Historian about it, and he didn't even do a good job about explaining what was going on. Raccoon's 100% right. It is a very, very hard universe to follow, and if you're not like reading each one of the books that go with Metal Batman and Batman Who Laughs, you're gonna be, and you got to read them in order too. You're gonna be thrown off, completely thrown off.
So do you think that Robert Pattinson is gonna be Death Metal Batman?
No,
God damn it, no. Fuck no.
No, he's just going to be our new Batman.
Okay.
New Batman.
I knew you were waiting to pull this up.
Oh, I'm so excited. Let's talk about how much I love
Me personally, I fucking think Robert Pattinson's biggest mistake was the Twilight movies. Other than that, he is a phenomenal actor. Do not sleep on him. Do not fear for him. But him as Batman, like, okay, so this is what I feel like is going on. We went from Michael Keaton, who was short, fucking didn't look anything like a Bruce Wayne should. But in the bat suit, he looked super, super, super uncomfortable. It was literally this the whole time. Like, he made a good Batman because it was the first Batman put to a movie that was dark, and it's Tim Burton. There's very few things from Tim Burton that I don't like. And then we got Val Kilmer was the second Batman, right?
Val Kilmer.
Yeah, Val Kilmer. I liked Val Kilmer because that was that verge where, like, they were trying to do the futuristic version of
Batman from the Adam West.
Exactly, 100%.
They were converging them.
Yeah, with the bangs and the powers, which Batman Forever was a cool movie. Plus, Jim Carrey, it was a phenomenal.
Oh, he crushed it. Yeah.
Fantastic
I would love to see him, but and then what's his face is Two-Face. I always forget his name. Tommy Lee Jones.
But he didn't do well in that film.
I don't know him. Tommy Lee Jones is like one of those people, like a Kevin Costner or a Robert Duvall. They're always good. Like they're always good. Like that was his worst role, but it was still good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if it was good because they basically did Two-Face as another Riddler or Joker.
Right.
They didn't really do Harvey fucking Dent. Like you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
I mean, Harvey Dent we had in
Schumacher's choices with
I myself personally was not a huge fan of the Christian Bale series. I'm not even going to talk about the George Clooney series because I don't even remember that one and I don't want to remember it. And I like it was so bad.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. It does not exist. I'm skipping right into
this Poison Ivy though. I'm not gonna gloss over that.
I like those.
There's no reason that Poison Ivy does not supersede everything terrible about that existence.
Exactly.
Of the movie.
The only thing that was done right
Batman
about that movie was when the Batsuit got nipples and it got bad. When the Batsuit got nipples, that's when it started tanking.
Well,
and
we
that's
really went on a tangent here.
I'm sorry. But let me finish. Bane was the only thing good about that movie. The only thing good.
Yeah, he was great.
Like Bane. Now, if they made him intelligent, that would have been perfect Bane. The Dark Knight series, Christian Bale made an all right Bruce Wayne. Or he made a good Bruce Wayne. I'll say he made a good Bruce Wayne.
That was a good Bruce Wayne.
Horrible Batman. Me, like my personal opinion. Exactly, I'm Batman. Like my personal favorite Batman is Ben Affleck because he looked the role. He looked like Bruce Wayne. He looked like Batman, and he didn't rely on his tech and gadget stuff. Like, I mean, he had them, he used them, but he did more of the detective stuff. That's why I like him.
I just couldn't stand Martha.
If you get past that,
yes, get past that. If you guys go watch those movies again, they're not bad movies. They really aren't. They actually like my buddy Aaron, like he's a big nerd. He had to tell me go watch it again because I hated it so much. And then he actually pulled up the comic book where they did that to each other, the whole Martha thing. And that was part of the reason why Jor-El sent to Cal. Yep. Yeah. But we move into Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson, like to me, would be like another. What was the dude that was in Gone in 60 Seconds? Died in the car accident. What's his name? Heath Ledger? No, not Heath Ledger.
Are you talking about the Fast and Furious guy?
Yeah. Paul Walker. I feel like Robert Pattinson's like a better actor of Paul Walker. I mean, Paul Walker was good, but because like if you've ever seen Water for Elephants, that movie was so good. I was blown away with how good it is. And seeing some of his indies, there's one where he's like stuck in an insane asylum. That movie was rad. Like he is a phenomenal actor, like terrific. But him, I think he's going to look like a gangly version of Batman. Like there's no amount of padding in that Batsuit that's going to make him look like a badass. I mean, and I saw it too. Like he had the short stubby ears. I mean, I know it's prior Batman. And the car looks like. Did you guys ever see the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was so good.
That's
so good.
Exactly. That's what the Bat car looked like, which was okay. I mean,
it's just starting out.
So
this is Batman year one.
We'll see what happens with the new Batman movies. Speaking of movies, though, new movies coming out this week. We have a fan remake. I guess it's not really a fan remake, but it is a remake of The Princess Bride.
Wait, what's that going to be on?
Wait, what?
That's on Quibi.
That's on Quibi, featuring Joe Jonas, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, and other celebrities, making this a celebrity-filled fan/parody remake of this classic film.
Hold on. Before you guys immediately call for the burning, what I've actually found out looking at Sophie Turner's tweets, they're just fucking around. They're not like legitimately trying to reboot this movie.
I see it more as a parody movie.
Yeah, they're totally just fucking around. She said, "We're bored. We're sitting around. We got this crazy idea. We just threw this together last minute." I think it's just like a bunch of friends because Joe Jonas and her obviously super close, right? Yep. Like it's just a bunch of close friends just fucking around with a camera and just getting silly. It's on Quibi.
If this is a serious thing, Penn and Clink, I'm coming after you guys because there are just movies that need to stay in the past.
They're not trying to redo Carrie Elwes and what they did with the original movie. This is just them fucking around.
We'll see how it goes. It comes out tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to seeing it.
He's offended.
I'm coming for you guys. I'm coming for you guys. If it's bad.
I love The Princess Bride, one of my favorite movies of all time.
All
and
of
I
us,
just,
yeah.
Yep.
Is my favorite movie of all time.
So let's see. Mel Gibson has a new movie coming out, The Force of Nature, where thieves plot a crime in the middle of a hurricane. The Mel Gibson film. Whatever.
Angriest Man Alive.
Yeah. Homemade, a new movie on Netflix coming out tomorrow, where a bunch of filmmakers make an anthology while being stuck at home during COVID. Now, this one has like Kristen Stewart and some other big name actors in it.
That was fast.
And
It was
we'll see what this is. I mean, it's like 10 actors stuck at home, all separate stories, so it's an anthology movie. So that comes out on Netflix tomorrow.
Around with close friends at home because of COVID, just like Princess Bride. Got it.
Exactly. I think it's going to be a little more deep and intense though than
take.
Yeah, a little different take on it. Metamorphosis comes out on Shudder on the 2nd. It's a South Korean exorcist poltergeist kind of movie. I love these Shudder films, man. They're all so cheesy and so good. I love it. Check out Metamorphosis on the 2nd. A Lone Wolf video on demand comes out on the 3rd, this Friday. A shut-in hypochondriac gets kidnapped and involved in some real bad shit. So that one seems pretty cool. A Lone Wolf. Black Magic for White Boys on video on demand. It's an indie movie. Magicians in New York City get involved in some drama in their local community. And this one has some really, really good actors in it. It's a bunch of old guys that are magicians that it's more about the New York community that they're involved in. I was kind of excited about that.
Sounds interesting.
For all you musical fans out there, Hamilton is going to be on Disney Plus on Friday. It's a full stage production of Hamilton, filmed, and you'll be able to watch it over and over again.
Like Happy Hamilton, like a Disney production version of Hamilton, or the real story?
No.
It's the real deal.
It's the real deal.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an actual stage production that they filmed. Yeah. And then finally, a movie that it's going to be super intense, based on a true story. The Outpost comes out on video on demand on Friday. It's about the war in Afghanistan. It looks super realistic, super intense. So any war film buffs out there, this would be a movie for you. The Outpost.
Is this the one that was based on like around the Restrepo story?
I'm not sure. Was that like
I don't think so.
It's this battle that happened in a valley in Afghanistan where they were surrounded on all sides. Right? I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is the one about the Kandahar. Yeah. Okay.
Kandahar.
It looks really interesting, super intense. I'm a fan of war movies, so looking forward to seeing that one on Friday. Any other movies that you guys have that you're excited about coming out? I know everything getting postponed right now is kind of sucked. So
much I do want to talk about, but it's so far in the future at this point. It's like,
yeah, I'm still waiting on that Wonder Woman movie. Still waiting on it.
Right. Everybody says DC can't make good movies. Go watch Wonder Woman. That movie was fucking fantastic, man.
Okay, we got to stop. We got to keep going. We get stuck on DC again.
In the world of TV shows, Warrior Nun comes out on Netflix on the 2nd. It's a young woman who wakes up in a morgue after dying and suddenly has superpowers, fighting ancient supernatural powers. So,
I saw the preview of that. It looked pretty good.
Looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
In the wave of remakes getting made, The Babysitter's Club has a new modern remake coming out on Friday, the 3rd. It's a modern remake of the classic, so The Babysitter's Club now has smartphones. We'll see how that goes.
Question mark. We'll see.
Series that I'm really excited about. I loved the movie, loved season 1. Hannah has season 2 coming out. If you've never watched Hannah, go watch that movie right after you're done watching this podcast.
We'll watch the show.
And then watch the show.
Mm-hmm.
Question: was the series as good or better? Because I heard that they wanted to redo the series, but to be better than the movie. And I thought the movie was really good because Eric Bana. I like Eric Bana.
The series was better because they could dwell longer on a lot of the story beats.
Okay.
From the books that you miss in the movie, so you get a lot more of the survival in that first season than you did in the film because they had to get to the conflict, right?
Right.
You get a lot more of how she was raised and how she lived as, in like the backwoods as a survivor kind of thing. You get a lot more of that in the show.
I've never heard of this series before.
It's fantastic.
It's really good.
Really
it's about a dad who raises his daughter to be an assassin.
and
Yep.
then she is a crazy assassin.
There's a lot more
That's
to it
awesome.
because it's about who she is. Is why
exactly. I don't want to tell too much in it, but
she's like a
it's really good.
14-year-old assassin. It's amazing. It's so good.
It's very good.
So coming out on a series, finally. I'm a big fan of The Grudge. Love the Grudge movies. Finally, a TV show of The Grudge, Ju-on Origins, coming out on Netflix on Friday.
That's what that is.
The original Grudge.
I didn't know that's what that was.
An actual series, a horror series. Very excited. I'm going to probably shit my pants, but that is okay.
Before you hit the next one, Clink, you forgot to put one of them on that we talked about. We are supposed to go over this week. It was The Old Guard with Charlize Theron.
Oh,
that's right.
I forgot about that too.
That if you have not seen the series for that, comes out July 10th. If you not seen the commercial for that shit looks rad. I've never read the comics myself, but I know they blew up. And the story, just reading the whole principle about it, it just sounds rad. It sounds like something I would definitely read over and over and over.
When does that release?
So that's
July
on the 10th. We'll talk about it more next week. We might play a trailer or something for you guys for that because that looks fantastic. So and I think that's a movie coming out on the 10th. Finally, I don't want to talk about this next one quite yet. First, I know many of you have questions, have wanted to ask questions of us about the show and everything. Raccoon, why don't you tell them about our Q&A?
Absolutely. So if you guys are having any questions for us, anything about what you're talking about, anything we're going over, or just general questions about our podcast, in the last 10 minutes, last 10 minutes or so, we will be going over those with you. We'll have a cutoff timer. You're going to ask as many questions as you like, and then we'll try to hit those as much as possible. So if you have any questions, save them, please, for us until then, and then we'll see them at that point. Be happy to answer for you guys.
That's right. So if you have any questions, type !question, and that'll highlight the message for us to know what's going on. You can also type !Q&A, and then that kind of lets you know what the questions are all about. So we had one more TV show on there. I'm just going to quickly mention it, and we'll go into a full review on it here in a little bit. But Mythic Quest is out now on Netflix, and it is a phenomenal show. Grenade and I will talk about that here in a little bit. But it is so good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it after this podcast.
Oh my goodness!
We are loading them up, man.
We are really loading up. Hannah,
that's
Mythic
a ton
Quest.
of stuff. That's a ton of content for you guys during all this COVID mess. Just stay home and watch and listen and read and look at all the things we just mentioned.
That's right. All right, so roundtable reviews. I think we're going to start with Raccoon this week. Raccoon, what are you reviewing this week for us?
Absolutely. I'm reviewing Adventure Time's Distant Lands. So,
please be good, please be good, please be good, please be good.
Okay, let me start off with a bit of information about it. So this is the first thing they've made since September 3rd of 2018. I've been working on it for the last few years. It released on June 25th. It's the first episode, BMO. It's the first episode, a 60-minute episode that's part of a 4-episode miniseries. I went into this open. I love this series. I watched every single episode. I was very excited. It currently has a review of 8.9 on IMDb. It's not good, guys. It's it's not good, man. The characters are very weak. You're not seeing any of our classics outside of just BMO himself. A lot of the environment makes no sense. The most interesting character outside of BMO is literally one of those like slugs that rolls around, and sea slugs or lard or whatever they call them from the main series. The show it hangs up over time. So you go from the very beginning. We have our character come in, fly in on a spaceship with potatoes to recolonize Mars. There's no backstory information about why he's doing that, but that's Adventure Time, so get used to it. That's normal parts. And then you go in and you just kind of get tossed into this dynamic between some dark elves and other characters. It goes on throughout the show. As it continues, the plot's very thin. You can figure out basically what's going on within the first 15 minutes. And then it's just kind of waiting for the characters to act it out. The voice acting is subpar. I didn't recognize any major actors. I thought for a second Jeff Bridges was in it, but that didn't exactly excite me. So there's definitely a Jeff Bridges sound-alike, at least for Mr. M. I'm not going to reveal too many spoilers outside of that, but I would give it maybe a 2 out of 5 raccoons on that one there. The good news is it's part of a 4-episode miniseries. So we still have Obsidian, we still have Wizard City, we still have Together Again to go through, and those are going to be releasing out through the rest of this year. I'm not sure if they're going into next year quite, but they don't have dates or timeframes at this point.
Now, question, is Pendleton Ward still involved?
Pendleton Ward is still the creator, yes. If you guys were here last week, Pendleton Ward made... I don't even remember the name of it.
Midnight Gospel, a show I still cannot handle.
Literally one of my favorite series now, forever. I've watched it again.
So you go from
one
like this 4.5-star rating of a Pendleton Ward show to a mini series of 2 raccoon rating.
Yeah, it's just I wish it was better. The characters are just very plain and none are really likable outside of BMO. I mean, everyone loves BMO. There's no getting around that.
Now, is it because HBO now took over it and are trying to make it more kid-centered instead of kind of Cartoon Network having free reign for Pendleton Ward and his creative crew to do whatever they want? Are they curtailing it more for kids and that's why? Or...
From what I'm seeing, there's no really curtail. It looks like they have, if anything, more freedom now than they did before.
What does that mean?
The quality of the story. It's just basically Cartoon Network has some, over the years, minor controls that go because it's going through all of these different countries and such. They have to keep age ratings. HBO Max with the streaming service doesn't have as much of an issue with that.
I get that, but I mean, what does it mean for the show itself? Are they making more sex jokes? Is it more gory? Is it
more adult
type racy? Like what are they adding in?
It doesn't look like they did anything extra.
It's just the same. It's exactly the experience you'd expect from Adventure Time, just
not good.
Just not as great.
That's
just not a good version of it. Okay.
Yeah, none of our good characters are there. None of our history. And then at the very end, you get quite a big surprise. And I'm not going to spoil that, but it entirely affected the way I saw it. And again, I was not quite excited about how that happened as well. So,
did any cameos show up from any of the other shows?
Any of the other shows? The Lard, the Space Lard, or whatever, Sea Lard was in it.
Sea Lard.
Entire thing, yeah.
So is it mostly about BMO or?
Yep, it's BMO and a rabbit girl named. Okay. Ooh, I had that written down somewhere. Give me a second. Y5. Oh, but this is the cool part. She starts off with Y4, but she wants to be Y5, so she changes her name to Y5, and that's that. So, yeah, that's basically the whole ticket. It just wasn't very exciting. I was very excited.
So, would you say go watch it, or would you say never watch it, or would you say if you get a chance to?
I say if you get a chance to watch it and you have the time to spend, go ahead. But I would probably wait until the other 3 come out before I would.
True.
Time.
Maybe as a whole, it'll be better.
That's again the end of it. Just kind of makes that really a tough call.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not sure how the Obsidian and where Wizard City and Together Again are going to start off.
Fair enough, madam.
We'll see.
Penn, what did you review this week?
Oh my gosh. Well, go ahead, Clink, roll that beautiful bean footage. So I reviewed West of Dead. I know we've talked about it a couple of times here on the stream. Grenade put a little bit of footage up. I put a little footage up. But guys, I have spent, you're not going to believe this, I've already spent 32 hours in this game.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a lot of hours in this game. A lot of that on the stream, a lot of it not on the stream. The footage you're seeing in the background is something I cut from it's like a whole recent run, kind of crammed down to a couple of minutes. So at the start of the run, you guys will see right now all around, he has guns, he has the things that I've unlocked through my playthroughs are all kind of around me. And right away, you're going to notice the progression system is very similar to a Dead Cells, which is not something I noticed right away. So it's like a Dead Cells clone, but where it really stands out is they blend the twin stick shooter with a cover shooter together to make this like beautiful symphony of destruction. Better than anything I've ever seen as far as like the twin stick aiming convention with a cover system. They managed it out because of the variety of enemies. Like you see me get chased out of cover there on the footage. So there's always kind of a sense of urgency. So how it's set up is this. So each level is composed of these safe corridors that kind of snake through in like a hellscape underneath Wyoming ? In kind of like a limbo / hell. It's not really explained. But in each of these corridors connect a room, and a room is like a little miniature arena where it's going to have some cover, it's going to have your enemies, and you're just kind of going from encounter to encounter, and you're trying to strategize at the start of the room like what you're going to do. So that's where the sense of urgency comes in, because you have to make a snap decision. Where do you take cover? Who do you kill first? What weapons do you use? All that good stuff on the fly. So that is a sweet, tasty mixture.
The art style in this just looks so good.
Yeah, so that's the other thing too. Looking at the art here in the video, it's great. The sound effects are extremely satisfying. There's like this little ding whenever you kill an enemy. Oh my goodness, it's you just want to keep going. You just want to keep killing and slaying, and it's very satisfying. As you can see in the run there, it's a lot of fun just kind of figuring out how you're gonna engage in that particular room. So the positives, of course, like I said, it's a great combination of two different ideas as far as like a shooter would go, and it's a roguelite, right? So you have permadeath, and you reset back to the beginning of the run whenever you die. But with that Dead Cells progression system that they kind of cloned, you always feel like you're making progress. Now there you saw me kind of hit a store. There's a store where you can buy stuff as you go through to kind of help you through the levels. And at the end of each level, which we're coming to now, you get taken to a place where you kind of get a second to take a break. This is where some of the progression happens. You can spend the sin that you collect to purchase new weapons and accessories. Permanent unlocks, basically. And this is where you learn the story. You bring memories individually back to this witch, and she kind of presents them to you, and the great and wonderful voice actor that is Ron Perlman reads it out for you.
Do you think that they got some of their inspiration from like Ghost Rider? Like I see this guy's skull flaming like your main character.
I think so.
Is this basically like a Ghost Rider game?
Well, so it's a combo of a lot of things. Think about Red Dead Redemption 2, right? There's an obvious revenge redemption story here between the main character and the preacher that he's chasing. There's an obvious revenge arc here, and it's clearly Western. It's capitalizing on Red Dead Redemption and the whole idea of like the Westerns being in our video game culture right now. But then there's a definite Ghost Rider kind of vibe to his appearance and how he works. So I've made it to the second level here. This is called The Hunt. This is where they introduce the doggos. And now we can talk about some of the negative things about this game. So off the bat, this concept is amazing. It's wonderful. This is the best roguelite that I've ever played concept-wise. I can say that with absolute confidence. I'm super hooked. But it needs some polishing. It's not quite finished. There's bugs, for one. So there's three things that are going to end your runs when you're playing this video game. The first one is obviously making a bad decision about where to sit, where to shoot, what to shoot, and you miss a shot and you get killed. So that's your fault, right? That's normal. That's how you die in roguelites. The second is bugs. So for example, one of those little dogs you saw, I had one of them bite me through cover, and they're not supposed to be able to do that and kill me, right? So that's a bug. It's not supposed to happen, and it feels a little unfair. But where this game really gets you, and the reason why I've still not finished it after that much time, when it feels like I could have done it in 15 or 20, is because of how random the enemies are. This scene here that you're watching now, you guys are going to see it happen. They put the wrong kinds of enemies in this room. There's almost no way for me to succeed in this room based on the enemies that are there. The one box of cover is being held by a rifleman, and there's two of these flying bats that basically can one-shot me at this point. And I have no cover to really use. I use my stun.
So you know what I say to that? You know what I say to that?
Mm-hmm.
It's time to get good.
I know that's what everybody's gonna say, but I've had so many runs end this way.
When I was playing the game, and granted it was a demo, you don't think that room is like kind of put there like that to do a more of a run and gun type aspect in that room, or you think it was actually an accident with the people.
So
with the
what it
characters.
is there's a missed time with how the enemies scale. So those bats are really tough. I have the best weapons I'd had all run on that scene, but if you watch it again, you see how many shots it takes, and I'm still not downing or stunning them with the weapons I have, and there was no way to get better weapons before that room. So basically, you're kind of screwed because you don't have enough damage to kill them in a couple of shots, but they could kill you with 2 hits.
And you can't move on to the next room until you finish that room? Is that the case?
Sometimes you could find a way to get through, but with that rifleman up there in the corner, I had no way. He would have killed me because he almost one-shots you. You don't have enough health or defense. So I'm assuming I can unlock a defense item or a health item maybe down the road to help me out in that situation. But you run into that a lot where you get to a room where there's one piece of cover. This happened to me. One piece of cover, and there's an enemy that literally puts traps on the ground, right? And then there's an enemy that can one-shot you on the same level. I got all of that in one room. What do you do?
Do you feel like it's an artificial gate? Like they're trying to hold you back, let you die 100 times more to actually get those levels, ranks, or what have you with progression to actually get past that? Like it's a stepping point.
I think
it becomes an achievement then to get past that.
Because I think it's random, because on the other side of it, there's been times where I come across a room like that and there's nobody, or there's one person, and it's really easy. It's random how they generate the enemies, and I think it might be too random and maybe not enough procedural, or there's not enough parameters. Like if it's a room that's that small and there's only 2 pieces of cover, don't put 6 enemies in it, right? That are that tough. Maybe there should be a parameter where there's only 3 or 4. It'll still be tough, but it just won't feel so impossible.
That makes me wonder. The late game gamers of this, the ones that make it past you in this case here, how bad does it scale up from there? Like, is there a scaling factor?
So here's the thing, guys. When I looked this up, I haven't found anybody yet that's gotten past the canyons. Like, I've been watching people stream it. I've been looking at YouTube videos. This guy said he rage quitting canyons. So I'm a little worried, because it's tough, man. Maybe after another 30 hours, because it takes a lot of sin to unlock a weapon. Like some of them are well into like 600-700, and if you're making 10 sin a run and dying, maybe 20, you're grinding for a while. So I've found a few weapons, but it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but it feels at this point a little bit impossible to finish. So that's why it's going to get a 3 out of 5 pens instead of 5.
3 out of 5.
Yeah, because it's going to be discouraging for a lot of people. I wondered why there's been days where I'm the only person streaming West of Dead. For how fun it is, that's a little surprising, right? So would you add this into the fact that people are getting discouraged really quickly when they get to the canyon and to the swamps and those kinds of levels? They're just kind of going, you know what, this is impossible. So that's West of Dead, guys.
Yeah, those days that you're streaming by yourself, West of Dead, just wait. Ron Perlman's going to pop in, man. As soon as Ron Perlman pops in there, you go, please join our channel. Please join our channel, have a talk. And I'm just going to go, ooh.
I will cry.
Ooh.
I will cry.
Oh, I would cry. I would bawl literal tears if Ron Perlman was like, hello, pen fighter.
Yes, I know. I would just,
But yeah, that's a game. It is fun. I do recommend playing it, guys. If you like roguelites or roguelikes, it's definitely worth playing. It's a really fun twin stick shooter. You're going to have fun with it for the price, regardless. I mean, it's worth picking up. And Raw Fury is a great independent studio. But obviously they've been doing some updates to it. They fixed a couple of bugs that were happening. Like with this one guy, it would telegraph where he was going to attack, but then when you dodged, he would move and hit you there where you landed. They fixed that. I haven't had that happen for a while. So
that's painful but fun.
Yeah, it's tough. So maybe give it a little bit of time.
It's good that they're looking at these bugs and fixing them. I mean, the developer obviously wants it to be an achievable game and not something that's an impossible feat,
Yeah, so it's a 3 out of 5, but it's a recommended 3 out of 5. Like 3 out of 5 in its current state, but this game has the potential to be a 5 out of 5 and one of the best roguelikes on the market.
Awesome. I might have to try it. We'll see once I get some cash in my wallet. It is the Steam sale, though. By the way, everybody watching, Steam Summer Sale right now. It's a lot. There's a lot of good deals out there. Mm-hmm. Go get some games if you can afford it.
For sure.
Well, speaking of Steam Summer Sale, I this week reviewed a brand new game that just came out called, what is it called? Hard Space Shipbreaker. Yes.
I want to see this.
Remember that. You're the one who did it. Like,
Huh?
Yeah. Wow.
How did you forget the name of the game that you reviewed?
Well,
He's got a lot going on, guys.
because I just call it Shipbreaker. I wanted to say the whole title of the game. Right? I forget the hard space part of it. Hard space Shipbreaker,
Wow.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
so this is Hard Space Shipbreaker. Basically, if you've played some of these other kind of space games, such as like Space Engineers, you're building a space station. In this case, you're tearing apart ships. So the game starts on the ground. You're in your apartment, like you kind of hear noises, and it looks like a really shitty apartment. And you get this contract from this company, Lynx Corporation, and they on this long contract that you have to sign. It says, well, we want you've qualified to become one of our elite shipbreakers, so please sign this, and we'll teleport you up, and you can break apart ships for us. But in that process, you are now indebted to the Lynx Corporation for 1 billion credits. So you have this 1 billion credits that you are working to pay off, so you're no longer indebted to the Lynx Corporation. And every day it costs about 500,000 credits to rent all of your gear and your habitation and everything. So in breaking apart this ship, you have 3 different areas that things go to. You have the barge, so like hard goods, so like the chairs, the power cell that I'm picking up here. Those would go onto the barge for use in other ships. You have the furnace, which is like iron and metal, and then you have the processor that processes the other goods on this ship. So you have a cutter tool, you have a grapple tool, and you use these tools to tear apart the ship. So I'm going to go change the video to the best moment that I had in this. I had a feeling, so the ship was not depressurized at this moment, and when I depressurized the ship, it was an explosive decompression, which then caused the fuel line to leak, which exploded the reactor, which then exploded more things, and luckily I didn't die here, but you can die and you get regened. But yeah, so explosive decompression is a thing. You have to kind of think your way through this puzzle of how am I going to deconstruct this ship. And it starts small, you get a slightly larger ship. Right now I'm working on commercial cargo ships, and it's a big ship to do.
This looks so nerdy and
all I want to
delicious.
do is blow things up. That looks great.
It is so much fun. I recommend it to anybody. It was like $20 on Steam, and it's so relaxing. Like, you just sit there with your cutter tool and, I'm just tearing apart the ship, listen to music, put a video on your other screen. It's a really relaxing game. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You're in crazy debt, so tell us more about the progression and how that works.
So right now, this game is in early access, and so there's like 10 levels of certification that you can go through. So you have to hit certain markers like salvage 10 pieces of furniture, this many credits worth of things, and then you progress to the next certification. I think there's 10 certification levels right now. What I was reading was on the developer's website, they're planning on having 40 plus hours of storyline content included in there. And so there's this kind of like backstory to the whole thing where when you go onto a ship, you collect a data log and then decode that data log back at your hab unit, and there's an audio file that plays with a voiceover and some other things going on with the story. And so you kind of have to piece this story together of what's going on in the greater universe through these audio logs and video files and images that you collect on these ships that you're salvaging. So ship salvager game.
You're not Matt Damon's character from Titan AE?
I mean, you very well could be. Who knows?
Matt Damon.
I feel like that was a reference to something I said previously.
It was. I totally stole that moment from you that you could have had, Rickon.
Yeah.
So right now I'm about $980 million in debt.
So it sounds like you haven't made much progress.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask next, like about that progression. So what's the game mechanic, the gameplay loop itself? Are you you're given goals, like you got to go collect so much of this and so much of this?
Sure. So each ship has a certain amount of goals. Collect this much nanocarbon, collect this much metal, collect this much of this. So that's called a work order. You do it in 15-minute increments. So you can run out of oxygen, you have to go buy more oxygen, thus adding more to your debt.
Of course.
It's great. And so once you finish the work order, you can choose to keep salvaging the ship if it's going to be profitable. As long as you're making over that 500,000 credits a day, you're working off that debt. If you make less than that 500,000, then you're incurring more debt. So it's not really that important. It kind of just gives that gameplay loop mechanic of like, hey, here's a goal that I'm working towards, is to pay off this ridiculous amount of debt to the Lynx Corporation that I'm also working for. Then you can upgrade your tools. You can have more range on your grappler. You can carry more. You can carry more oxygen. Okay. So you can upgrade your tools. But really, the gameplay loop is in 15-minute chunks. It says, hey, you have to go back to your hab now. Then you can upgrade your tools back at your hab. You go back out. You work on another section of the ship, working towards that work order, or just tearing down the rest of the ship once you've done that work order, then go back to the hab. So that's the gameplay loop, is tear apart a ship, go back. Tear apart another part of the ship, go back. It's really fun.
And then, of course, you're advancing your earning potential by getting better upgrades and things.
Better upgrades, you can do things faster. You don't have to go back and collect oxygen as often, which, that takes time to do that, and time is money in this game. So
time is money.
I can't give it an official rating yet because it's still in early access, and I want to wait till they come out with the full thing. But honestly, I would give this, for its fun potential, of like 4.5 right now. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Like, at every moment of the day, I'm like, I just want to log on, watch some TV, and break apart some ships.
So Link gives it 4.5 rupees? Is that what it is?
4.5 rupees. Sure. We'll call it rupees this week. Why not?
It's just going to keep changing, I'm sure.
We're going to change it every week for Link. Yep.
I got chocobos, I got rupees, I got master swords.
What do you got for us, Nade?
So Clink was telling me to watch a show over and over and over again, and it was called Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet.
Yep, I was at first I was reluctant, and then he's like, so this is what started it. Him and I sat there and watched that Eurovision movie together. Like I said, I hate Will Ferrell. I ended up enjoying that movie, and he's like, go check out Mythic Quest. It's like, let me just type it in. So I type it in, and I see it's like, oh, this is that game that they announced, or that game they announced at fucking E3 last year. And he's like, no, it's a series. It's like, what? So I ended up watching it, right? I started with the first episode, and this hasn't happened in a long time. I stayed up to almost 3 a.m. watching it, binging the whole season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And it actually...
So tell us about it. What's the show about?
Okay, so it's about this guy who came up with an MMO, like a kind of like a what's that game? Oblivion type deal.
Okay.
Huge world. It's like one of the biggest games in their series, right? And they have a direct competitor, and it refers to the game company and like crunch time and they have to lock codes. I don't know a lot about like code locking and stuff like that, but they made it seem like they knew what they were talking about. And Clink referenced to it too when I was talking to him, and he said that, it was cool how they brought that in. But they do have streamers in there who, all you see all the conspiracies, like this person's a plant for this game type stuff, and this person does this for this game type deal. What streamers actually go through.
With building their channel and stuff, right?
Yep,
like one of the streamers on there starts at 0 views and is trying to get all these followers, and yeah.
And then they're making her change. They're trying to get her to change outside of her character. And then one of her friends says, hey, be your character. And all of a sudden she starts skyrocketing. And it brings in a dynamic of women in gaming and women in the industry, the gaming industry themselves. Like the main creator, the coder for the game is a woman. And she's like, at the beginning of the episode, she's kind of annoying. But she ends up being one of my favorite characters in the show. And in the last episode, like, I watch, like, my girlfriend hates watching shows and movies with me because I can kind of like read and plan out what's going on, By the end of the show, like I felt so bad for the coder, and I felt so bad for like what was going on, and at the same time I felt happy. Like I'm trying to give a super spoiler free one because I really want people to go check it out. But by the end of the show, like my heart actually hurt for these people, but I was also super happy. I went to school for mechanical engineering, and at the end they have this super rad thing that I love. It's probably like one of my hobbies that I've built a couple in my life. So when you guys watch it, come back and talk to me about it. Please please come back and talk to me about it.
It's like it's one of those mechanical engineering things where it's like you see a toilet paper roll go over here, and then in grenade screen you would see it keep going. And I forget what they call those.
It's a Rube machine. A Rube machine.
Yes.
I just didn't want to say it because I don't want to ruin anything. But it tackles a lot of issues, like a lot of issues that like we ourselves, that people that we know have had to deal with, people that we have direct contact with that we deal with. On top of like they topple toxic masculinity in this, but and it's not like. Does anybody remember that Gillette commercial from a while back?
Yes.
Like how it took a lot of heat for how it was. Like they did the same thing in this show, and I think they even threw a nod at that, made fun of it, but they also made it seem like there's a reason why people do what they do, and you can't knock everybody for a simple mistake. And then they even put a backstory into the building of the where they're working at, a backstory into how things led into what they're doing. With completely random characters, and it was such a good show, and it was. You guys saw Always Sunny, right?
Yeah.
Seen one or two.
So you guys know how.
Yeah.
So you guys know how that show's super random. It's got the same feel for sure, but the story from episode to episode was super in depth, and you end up falling in love with all the characters. Like you start liking all of them. I think there's one character I didn't like at all, but she also cracked me up. But she was the assistant's assistant.
Oh, she's such an asshole.
Yeah. She was super rad. She was annoying at the same time. And then it's just, and they talk about, and there's a shit ton of cameos in that. Clink actually brought to me last night. The mom from How I Met Your Mother is in it.
Yep.
The actual mom, the one that Ted Mosby actually marries. Bender is in it. The voice of Bender.
Plays Bender.
He shows up
Waka from Final Fantasy X. Yep.
Yep. And then there's so many movies. Do you guys remember what was that show with Zooey Deschanel on TV?
New Girl.
New Girl. Yes. So do you know the guy that was in love with Megan Fox in New Girl? He is in it.
Yep.
He shows up. And then dude, there's so many people that show up in that show, but it actually turned out to be like they even talk about TwitchCon in there. Dude, there's so many stabs at what happens like in our day-to-day lives as streamers in that show.
I'll have to check it out, man.
It brings a lot of life to what we go through as streamers, who we are as streamers, and what these game developers are going through interacting with their community. And it brings to light a lot of those things. So Mythic Quest is created by Charlie Day and Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny. So they created it. It's sponsored by Ubisoft, and so they're one of the main producers of the show, actually. So there's a lot of like clips from Assassin's Creed and For Honor and stuff. You'll see that it's like, hey, here's our great game. But I really didn't mind that, and I think being sponsored by Ubisoft, they were able to get a lot of these people involved in a lot of these situations that we see ourselves in as streamers, and bring it to light. And it was just really cool to see as a show directed at people like us, like everyday gamers who stream and watch Twitch and play games, and it's a fantastic show. So
I am Mr. Chris Angel. It was a good show, though. You're gonna love it. If you haven't played it or watched it, you're gonna love it.
So is that 5 nades?
No, it's not nades. I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 b-holes.
Wow.
Wow.
That's a reference to the show, by the way.
Yep. You'll know what I mean when I say it.
Yeah, I'll give that a watch. I got time on my hands this week with the surgery and everything.
So speaking of Mythic Quest and it actually discussing in a comedic way some of these things that we're going through as a Twitch community. What's up, Grenade?
Hold on. With that, I wanted to say too that there's another thing they brought into the game, because the game is like when you're watching it, you're like, wow, that's the first thing you think is like a WoW and Oblivion type mix. They even referenced the disease that spread through WoW in that game.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So with this TV show kind of bringing to light some of these issues, us as a gaming community are really going through a lot right now. And this is going to be our main heavy-hitting subject of the week, toxic offenders in gaming. So I'm gonna hand it over to Penn. He's got a few things to go through, and then we'll discuss this a little bit more.
Yeah, so huge topic. We didn't want to jump into it in news last week and hit the news this week because the news for us is we're trying to get you guys out there, the releases, the stuff you guys want to hear about, that kind of stuff. We're going to use our discussions like this moment to really dig into the big ones that matter. We know that are on the tips of you guys' minds. Maybe it's weighing on your heart. Maybe it's something you feel real passionate about, or maybe you don't know what's going on. So did a lot of reading, did a lot of referencing. Obviously, I like to take that journalistic approach a lot and really dive into a topic. And I got a chance to do that with this one. I'm going to start by reading some words from the New York Times, because I feel like the way that Taylor Lorenz and Kellen Browning at the start of this article for the New York Times, I feel like the way that they worded this is the best way to begin our conversation. So just so you guys can understand the scope and exactly what we're talking about here. So they wrote this on June 23rd. So this is very recent. More than 70 people in the gaming industry, most of them women, have come forward with allegations of gender-based discrimination, harassment, and sexual assault since Friday. They have shared their stories and statements posted to Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and the blogging platform Twitlonger. The outpouring of stories from competitive gamers and streamers who broadcast their gameplay on platforms like Twitch for money led to the resignation of the CEO of a prominent talent management company for streamers, and a moment of reflection for an industry that is often contended with sexism, bullying, and allegations of abuse. So that's kind of where we begin the topic: the sexual harassment, the bullying, the what we use the term DDoSing or doxing, things like that is going on in the community right now. That has been, the time is now. The ones that things have been happening to them for the last few years, going back as far as 2014. Some of these stories that I'm reading. Right. They're finally, action is finally being taken. Enough people are finally feeling bold enough to come forward to bring this topic to light, which is great, because if you guys remember back to 2014, that's when all the Gamergate stuff was going on, where we had Sarkeesian. She came out and she had all these things to say and stories that people had told her, and she was trying to bring light to it. But what happened? Threats, harassment on her. Like even the threat where she was going to go to the University of Ohio, and somebody tweeted out that she could prevent a school shooting if she didn't appear. Right.
Oh,
so that's where we were in 2014, right? Where people were, okay, I'm not going to come out and say anything because look what's happening to her. Fast forward to now, and like New York Times just reported, 70 people, and of course that number has increased. There's a whole place you can go. You can find out an entire list of all this stuff. I don't want to give out that information, but you can find the entire list. It's more than 70 now. Like they're really coming out. Some of you guys in the Destiny world, you've already heard about Lono and some of the specific people, but we're not here to really go down the list and go this person. We're not here to toss around accusations. We want to talk about what's going on in gaming, and kind of the toxicity is starting to come to an end, and just a general call from us, from everybody in the gaming world, to put down the swords. It's over, you know?
Yeah. I think this is
time.
I think this is very important. So something this has been going on for a very, very long time. I mean, this has started out way back when gaming first been around. I mean, this is going to be a constant thing. It affects gamers who stream. It affects gamers who are in journalism. It affects gamers who just game in our local communities. I've seen issues with sexism, with assault, things like that, just being pushed under the rug because people are afraid. A lot of what's being brought out is still being brought out by people who are anonymous because they're afraid of blowback. That is a constant concern, because a lot of these people can lose their jobs. DDoSing is a horrible, horrible thing. There's just so many things people have done in the past in toxic communities. I think that's an important thing to talk about too, is when you find a big game community, someone who may be incredibly popular, and suddenly they're having their eyes turned on them instead of say, and it's done by, say, maybe someone who's not super, super famous. That type of community is going to attack that non-famous person. You see this time and time and again. And it's a good thing this is finally becoming of interest finally becoming something that we're talking about, not just in the gaming community, but he did, like Pinfire mentioned, it's New York Times, guys. This is a now situation like Gamergate was back in 2014. I'm
It is.
hoping that something will actually change. This is a constant thing that we all have to always work on. This isn't just a male thing. This isn't just a female thing. This isn't just a person, individual basis or anything like that. This is us holding ourselves, everyone accountable, our streamers, our game developers, our everyone in between, our friends. We got to hold each other accountable to this so this doesn't continue.
That's
There's
the
a
point,
lot of people
Raccoon.
let it go.
For sure. That's definitely the point to hit on, that I want to make sure that we're communicating to you guys and that we're understanding ourselves, is that the time when you hear it happening in your headset, maybe you're in a Destiny 2 raid, maybe you're on a Discord channel, maybe you're typing into Discord, you're seeing these things, you're seeing the harassment happen, but because they're part of your gaming community that you've invested years of times with, you just let it slide. You know what? I'm just not going to be involved. I'm just not going to participate. But you're not going to say anything either. You're not going to tell people that's wrong. You're not going to try to put a stop to it. You're not going to protect these people that are being harassed. Those days are over. Now's the time to put a stop to that, to check who you're gaming with, to check who you're allowing into your Discord. You have to. It's not about protecting yourself. It's about protecting these people who are being harassed. And you can't just let that go anymore. So some of these people that are being accused aren't necessarily, a few of them aren't being accused directly. They're people that they've gamed with. Like, there's been a few examples of people in a party and somebody's actively in their Discord, in their headset, mentioning things that they're doing to cheat, to hack, to DDoS, or saying racist and other things, and other harassment things. And yet the streamer's just playing his game.
Yep, it's like they're not
even hearing it. I mean, it's all over.
Exactly. So, and this comes down to, like you were saying, in your party. So it doesn't always just happen on stream either. This is people going and talking about what's happening in their Discords, talking about what's happening in their, private messages on Twitch, their private messages on Twitter. It's taking and hitting every one of those bases, because it's important that just because they're not streaming it, just because they're not streaming that they're being a horrible racist or sexist or an offender or some of the other insane things I've seen recently, doesn't mean it's still not something that they should be affected and held accountable for.
Well, and so now Twitch and the gaming communities themselves, like the actual game developers, are going out and putting a stop to this kind of bullying activity. Where when somebody is accused of this, whether it's sexual misconduct or bullying in general or doxing someone, Twitch is actually starting to put things in place to ban that kind of behavior. But really, it's up to us as the viewers, as the community, to bring light to this behavior, not to bring light of it, but bring light to it. So that way
Right.
Twitch and the game community itself know that this is happening and needs to stop.
Yes, and that's a good point. So Twitch has known about some of these things in the past, right? That's
Right.
something we're all aware of. Twitch has had partners, streamers that they have raised and put on their front pages and such like that, that they knew they had these reports, but because it wasn't being brought to the forefront, because people weren't coming out and saying it and complaining about it and bringing it to the news and taking these steps that we're taking now, nothing was being done about it. And now it's finally, they're being held accountable. Twitch is now being held accountable for these people's actions because it's their service.
I do want to call out the raid real quick that we got you guys raided during our heavy discussion time. Welcome in, everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you guys all for being in here. Welcome in.
With all
Nate?
this shit, Raccoon brought up earlier that like the devs and the game companies need to be held accountable. I'm not 100% agreement with that, because that's not the platform they built and that's not what they were pushing out. Like, I'm going to use Destiny because that's my bread and butter. When Bungie was making a game, they weren't going, oh, we know people are going to be sexist, we know people are going to be racist, we know all this shit's going to happen. Their intent was for people to play a game and have fun having a spaceship adventure where it needs to be nipped in the bud, is channels like is Twitch or is the Mixer communities, Discord. But that's a lot of it is threading a super fine line with a lot of it. Like, you got to understand some of these companies, like so I'm going to bring up one instance that I didn't agree with. Goth and Broman, they both knew about what was happening to Snaps, Sarah Daniels and stuff like that. But Sarah Daniels and Snaps and all asked them to not bring it up. But it happened at GCSX or Guardian, or the Guardian thing, Guardian Con that they have.
Mm-hmm.
On a business standpoint, they shouldn't have kept that quiet. They should have gone to the police. They should have got that. Because honestly, if anything else could have happened from that, their company could have had the dick suit off of them, and they could have lost what they built. So that's why with a lot of this stuff, like, I understand it's hard to come out and say stuff. I really do. And the other day when we were talking about it, I didn't put that point across. I super understand how it's come across. But as a company's point of view, if you start, like, I know you kind of start I'm sorry, Raccoon.
No, you're absolutely fine. So I agree with you 99% of the time, if I may. Now, that being said, game companies are still having this issue on the inside. I don't know if you guys saw about 2 or 3 weeks back. I read a personal post from a few people who actually work within game companies. I saw one from Bungie, a Bungie employee, which I've never seen anything negative, super negative about Bungie employees, but we know there's sexual advances and such like that are still going on in those cases. They can still need to be held accountable, man. So everyone has to be held accountable for any actions that the company is taking. I think
what Grenade's referring to is not those situations, because obviously Bungie's got to hold its employees accountable for what goes on.
Exactly.
It's like an employee would.
Across the board.
But in the situations of, like, using Lono, he's the most popular case. Everybody knows what's going on with Lono right now. He's the most popular case. Lono, it's hard for Bungie, but they could release a statement and stand in solidarity with the accusers, right? But it's not Bungie's fault that Lono was playing Destiny. Well, I think that's what Grenade's trying to say.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah. It's not Bungie's fault that he was playing Destiny while being a shithead. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but if they figure out about the situation that's being reported, it's still part of their system. Like, that type of thing is going on during their gameplay, then that's still an action they need to take place to ban that person for doing these type of actions.
Well, sure, from like a pro seed or something like that, like Smite has done with DM Brandon and some others accusations. Like, he used to work for Smite even, but they don't get to play those games in a pro circuit and that kind of thing. But you can't just go to their house, show up and take all their games away that are from your company.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I'm following.
Well,
a lot of it's account based.
I don't mean to go back to this, but like Mythic Quest, they actually deal with a situation like this where there's a Kotaku article that comes out and it's about white supremacists playing the game, and it's the number 1 game for white supremacists, and what actions do they need to take? And they're talking about it like, should we just ban them? Should we just put the ban hammer down, or how are we going to handle this? And so I don't want to give away anything of the TV show, but they handle it in a very unique way, and I think whether or not it's banning someone or not, it still needs to be dealt with in some way. This toxic behavior.
Because Twitch can't keep doing what they're doing. Like right now, like there's several bans, prominent people right now, and there's people going back years with like Iceman and some others where they still haven't said why. They just banned them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're just gone, and then Twitch says nothing. But then, what was it for? Is the guy a Nazi? Did he sexually harass somebody? What's going on? Yeah, like with Doc, I don't want to dive into Dr. Disrespect. We're not going to jump on this guy and start talking about that. But where's Twitch being part of the conversation instead of just, banning somebody and getting them removed is great because you don't want somebody who's been abused. You don't want the abuser to have to look at that face to watch them make money and be successful while they're sitting there like, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't want you have to ban them. You got to take care of the issue, but you also have to let people know why and say this is inappropriate. We don't think this should continue. We won't support this on our platform.
Here's the issue though. Like from a legal perspective, if they're making claims about that person, that's defamation, especially if it turns out to be false claims. So maybe the fact that they're not stating these things is to protect themselves, right? So they can get sued for defamation of character.
Well, yeah, you have to be careful, but some of these cases are going back years. There's people that have been banned going back 2014, 2013, and they've never been told by Twitch why. They were just banned.
Mm.
Do you know what I
get,
mean?
I
Yeah,
get,
following.
I get where Raccoon's coming from.
I get
but
that too with the defamation, but you got to have a
if
hardline
you
stance.
if you're being 100% honest, I understand like a lot of stuff like this can get pushed under the rugs and stuff like that. But if you're being honest, I mean, I really wouldn't worry about the defamation of character part. I mean, I get through a legal standpoint and stuff like that, but nowadays everything's got a paper trail or a digital trail.
Right. Somebody's clipping it. Somebody's got a clip of your Discord. And,
Everybody, exactly. Like, in my own Discord, I've seen some dumbasses say some stupid shit and I ban them immediately. And I think what Twitch is, I'm not defending Twitch. I'm going to say that right now. I'm not defending Twitch at all. But with the whole toxic community and everything like that, you yourself, us as streamers, everybody on this podcast, like, it's up to us to monitor our chat because there are people that are going to come in there, create fake accounts, and just troll to troll. You have mods that you trust. You have, yeah, exactly. At some point in time, like, you got to understand, this company is fucking huge. I mean, I remember the first thing my buddy Hypoxic said to me. I was like, dude, I made affiliate. And he's like, congratulations. Now you're with 250 million other people. Which at that point in time, like, do you think there's a company or a robot or anything that can sit there and monitor everybody's channel? That's why you have mods. That's why you have yourself. I feel like that's one of those things where they're trying to get you to police up, because what's one thing that we're always talking about? We're always saying, like, Pen Fighter and the Posse, that's his community. Raccoon and the Trash Pandas, that's your community. You guys are the ones that are creating your own communities, and that's, I'm not saying it's on you for that. I'm saying when people come in there, like, at some point in time, you got to be like, all right, you're done. See you later. I mean, I had a guy come in and spell the N-word 20 different times before I actually caught on to what he was doing. Like, I thought it was like, honestly, I thought it was somebody who couldn't speak English. And then it took white to say, I wouldn't say that. And I looked at it and I was like, holy shit. I went through that and got rid of all of it. You know, I banned the person and stuff like that. So at some point in time, there is a little bit of accountability on you as the streamer yourself to make sure you're not allowing that into your communities, because you look at your Discords, you're the one that has certain people, because I have it to where there's only a few people that can send invites out to my Discord. And they always come to me, hey, can I invite this person? I have rules. If the dude's a shithead, no. If he can get along with us, yes. And honestly, if you're the one inviting him, you better be the one that's going with him if this person's an asshole. You know, so it's on you.
Yeah. So the other aspect of that, Grenade, is this is where Twitch needs to be held accountable. This is where Discord and other people have to step in and start doing something at some point. There are, based on the allegations that are active, that are currently live, updated as of like 10 minutes ago. I still have the Google Doc up. There's Twitch partners right now that are active Twitch partners that haven't had any action brought against them for things going back all the way to 2014. Right now, there's stuff going on right now. There's a story. I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to get too deep. We're going to breeze through this real quick. But there was back in 2014, there was a female streamer who had surgery and was disabled, things like that. Two other potential Twitch partners came into her channel and started saying, you're a phony, you're a liar. Some people listen to this later on. You guys are going to know exactly what's going on. This hasn't been a super private discussion. This was out there for a little while. And they started harassing her, telling her she's a liar, stop making stuff up, you're scum, blah, blah. And she thought, okay, this was bad, but I'm going to move on. Tomorrow is going to be another day like we all do. But it happened again. And then it happened for a third day. So she sent clips of the discussions to Twitch. She put her stuff on Twitter. It's been out there for years. And the people involved that were harassing her ended up getting so bad that people from their channels were coming in and threatening her life, threatening her with rape, threatening her family. And even the specific quote from one person that came into her Twitch was, it says that you live in the Pacific Northwest. That's either Portland or Washington. That's not too far. I can get there.
So
these are the kinds of threats. So I'm almost done, Clink. So
yeah.
The two people that were the catalysts of that right now are still Twitch partners. This is all screenshotted. It's all there. The videos are there. The testimonies there. Everything's there. But they're still allowed to participate. This person has to look at her abusers succeed in the platform that she can't be on now, because if she even shows her face or is mentioned, she gets attacked for supposedly being the aggressor in this situation. And all she did was just be disabled on Twitch.
With that being said, like, to me, I've seen a bunch of my veterans friends become disabled, and they try to make a life for themselves, and they get slapped down. I've seen a number of people who are disabled, or know people of disabled and people get slapped down. So to me personally, that's one of those things where I find that personally offensive. Like I fucking hate when people like it's like you stand up for like any anime, any old school movie. Like my grandpa taught me, you always stand up for the people who can't stand up for themselves.
Always.
And at that point in time, those guys who are attacking this girl, they should be dragged out back and fucking shot. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that like that, but I personally agree.
Well, I get where you're coming from there, and then to our point that we've already been talking about, it's our responsibility as streamers, especially if you're a Twitch fucking partner, to rein in your community, not encourage them to go to somebody's channel and harass them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And that right there, if they were like, if Twitch saw this, like right up, me personally, if I own Twitch, right, and I see this coming in there, there's evidence saying, hey, he said this, pictures are taken, this guy's off the platform, we're calling the fucking cops. They should have done that. But the fact that they didn't do that tells you that the hypocrisy and the ass backwards things that Twitch has going on for, say, the rules and stuff like that, and what they're willing to let their partners do, and then their affiliates not like, because everybody knows it's not a fucking secret. Twitch knows. Exactly, it's money. Like that's why it's one of the thing why I pull up. I don't know what's going on with Doc, and not a lot of people do, and I'm only using that because he just signed a $40 million contract, and they're getting ready. They booted him. Like that's a lot of money because that money's all his. Like, so that right there shows that if it was something along the lines of sexual harassment, they're taking the right steps and showing the community that, hey, even though we did this, we've got your back. I got it. But at the same point in time, with that being said, that could be a virtue signal. It's signaling itself like, hey, we're willing to get rid of this guy, but we also still have these fucking 40 million other over here that's also giving us money. So this guy's kind of just a dent in the pocketbook. So at this point in time, we don't know what's going on with that. But for people to actually go in and do that in Twitch, not to do anything, the people who monitor this, because I know there's a certain chain that people got to go through. Like, hey, this is like, if she actually went through and did this and talked about it, and the people stopped it at any level without taking care of it, every single one of those people need to be fucking fired.
Held responsible. Yep. So real quickly, before we go too further, and you mentioned a second ago, this isn't just about sexual assault. This isn't just about male on female violence. This isn't just about female on male violence. This is about every one of those categories.
All the toxicity.
All the toxicity.
Any sort of harassment.
All of those boards. Yeah, and I mean, harassment exists in all forms, whether you're a woman, black, racism, gender, sexuality, all of those little topics. You hit any of those bars, there's a harassment you faced. I mean, I have definitely faced that on my own channel a few times. So, on that note, though, Clink, you wanted to say something a minute ago, and you stopped.
Oh no! I was gonna say just about harassment in general, and what forms of harassment take on Twitch and some of these platforms. So it's not just this blatant harassment, but then there's also subtler harassment, such as I know a subject that we want to talk about tonight as well is like white knighting. Like that's a big form of harassment that doesn't outwardly seem like harassment, but it is.
Right, because that's the whole intent. So as a supervisor for a corporation, like I was a few years ago, I learned some things, right, that I didn't know before about the intent of speech and the intent of actions versus how it's received. And that's where white knighting and some of these other toxic elements come into play, because it's still toxic, even if you don't think it is. If you're going into somebody's channel...
So for our viewers, Penn or Raccoon, can you explain what white knighting means?
Yeah, I'm about to jump into what white knighting is, and obviously I'll turn it over to Raccoon here, because I know she's got good thoughts on this too. So if you're going to go to somebody's channel and you're watching somebody like a Raccoon play Destiny 2, right? And Raccoon, using our amazing Raccoon as a great example, is awesome at fucking Destiny 2. You could see that when you're watching her play. She's landing her shots, she's using good weapons, she knows what she's doing, right? If you're going to go into her channel and then start telling her, well, go do this. If you do this, this will happen, and you think you're being helpful, or maybe you're trying to flirt with her by interacting with the game that she's in or whatever, you're white knighting, bro. Like you're telling her how to play a game. That's her favorite game. So that's what white knighting is. It's not just that, but that's that's a version of it that we see so much here, specifically on Twitch. Raccoon?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's on that point. So there is a slight difference. There's a slight difference when you come into someone's channel you've never seen before. You start trying to provide advice. But as soon as you start to notice, hey, you provided this advice 2 minutes ago. I said I knew it, and we're moving forward, and then you're still doing it. You're still doing it. You're wanting that Twitch streamer's attention, and you're trying to do this to flirt with her. You're trying to do this to bother her. You're trying to do this to prove that you know something that she doesn't. And again, this comes off with other people, feminine aligned people, what have you. It's depressing. First off, it's distracting. Secondly, it's mood killing. It can affect your entire gameplay. I know personally, I recently shut down my stream channel for I shut my stream off for a 3-hour mark because I had some guy in there just wouldn't stop doing it. My mods were asleep, and I wasn't putting up with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to handle this. But that happens. That happens so often to so many women and a lot of us can't just, tell our mods, hey, go ban this person, because you know what? It's going to be a next person too, and it's the next person, and that's where we hold each other accountable.
And there's a difference between like backseat gaming and white knighting, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like backseat gaming, sure, somebody can come into my channel and be like, "Hey, you're doing that wrong. You should do it this way." That's backseat gaming. But if I really knew my stuff in that game and knew what I was doing, and then they're saying that because they're trying to get my attention, that's not backseat gaming anymore. That's specifically white knighting because of them saying that because of who I am and because
I'm a woman, they are making these statements under the assumption just because of my gender or my sex or what have you
that less.
I know less.
Because they wouldn't come into me if I was playing Destiny 2, which I'm not as good at as you are. Maybe Cruise, I could kick your ass, but as far as a lot of the others, you spent more time in it. You love the game more than I do. But nobody would come into my channel and do that for me. Nobody has. I've been backseat gamed a little bit. Like, hey, how come you're not using this? Well, I prefer this weapon. Oh, okay, dude. And that's the end of the discussion, right? That's where you could tell the difference. If you would say it to Raccoon and not to me or Clink or Grenade, then you're white knighting, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple gauge.
So really, go for it.
Go ahead, Grenade.
White knighting to me is a form of fucking super disrespect. Me and Raccoon had an instance. We were playing Destiny, and someone was trying to be like, "Hey, you should use this and use that." And she's like, "Hey, I like my bow. I like my bow." And I was like, "I bet you by the end of this fucking strike, she's got more kills than you." And what happened? At the end of the strike, she had more kills than both of us. I was like, "It's not one of those people that you need to fucking try to help out, man. She knows how to play the game." And to me, white knighting. When people are white knighting, especially from a male to a female aspect, to me is fucking horrible, because what you're doing is you're literally not even taking the chance to judge that person by what that person's actions are or who that person is. You're taking that time to judge that it's a female playing a fucking first person shooter. You don't even give a shit about the rest of it. So to me, when people are saying, "Hey, you got to do this, you got to do that," it's like, why don't you fucking sit back and understand that person has a voice. She can do what she wants, and she's probably just as good as the game as you are. It takes that person's character away from them. So white knighting is just a stupid fucking thing. And if people are trying to stream the game, being themselves, leave them the fuck alone and just interact with them and interact with the chat. Don't try to fucking help them. Because obviously they're not playing the game, because I understand a lot of times people say on their, when they first start streaming, they're like, "Oh, hey, new to Destiny or new to, what was that shit pile? Or was it called Shipwreck? Sorry.
Okay.
So whatever the game you're playing, you're new to it. So people are gonna be like, "Hey, if you do this, if you do that, it'll help you out in the long run." I'm not going, go over here to do this, to go over there and do that, to go over there and do this. I feel like that's more the category of backseat gaming versus white knighting.
Well, backseat gaming, you're failing, right?
Exactly.
That happened to me with West of Dead just a little bit, because I kept screw it up, and then my buddy Shifty, who plays the game, was like, "Hey man, have you tried approaching this? Have you tried doing it this way?" That's backseat gaming, and that depends on the streamer. That depends on the community. You get to know them first. Don't jump into their channel. I get this in Warframe. Somebody will jump into the channel. How come you're not using this frame? Because I'm not, bro.
Right.
Hang out
It's
for
your
a minute,
game, and you can choose to do
let's
it how you
talk.
want.
I like to use my buddy Yard Yams. He comes in all the time. This guy, he's not toxic. You could tell he's forceful and passionate about the stuff that he wants to play. And I like the guy, believe it or not, even though he's annoying sometimes, but I do like the guy. He gets tired of the first person shooters. And when you get into a game that he likes, but this is where like I feel like context with a lot of things is it gets pulled out of things get pulled out of context because with a nuance. I want to use the word nuance. I'm reading something, right? So I can't hear the tone he's saying something in. And like you can put all your punctuation in it and make it sound like the tone you want, but say I'm stressed out doing Crucible and this guy's going, you just go over here and like hide in this corner and you'll be fine for a couple seconds to regen your health. I'm looking at it angry already in my head, reading it angry. Do you know what I mean? So at that same point in time, like there's a lot of times where like I don't understand what you're saying, y'all dams. What the fuck are you trying to tell me? And he's like, dude, I've got like 900 hours in this game. I do know that this is a mechanic of the game and I'm just trying to help you out. But he says it to where he's more brute force than he is helpful. But I don't think he's doing it out of trying to backseat game. You know what I mean?
And so thinking about that differentiation between backseat gaming and white knighting, you know, before you go into somebody's channel and say, hey, you should do it this way, check yourself. You know, if you wouldn't be saying that to somebody normally, like if there was a dude playing it and you wouldn't say that, but it's a chick playing it and you're saying it because she's a chick, check yourself a little bit, you know?
Yeah, hold yourself accountable.
Listen to the streamer. See how they're playing. Hey, get to know them. You know, hey, how long you been playing Destiny? Oh, maybe 2 hours. If you want me to get in there, I can help you. I'll teach you the ins and outs of the game that I know. Or if they're like, hey, I've been playing for 900 hours, and it's like, you haven't finished this part of the raid yet, you suck at the game, obviously. You know what I mean? Like,
I've obviously heard that one a little bit.
Which it drives me up a fucking wall too. And at that point in time, I think it all comes back to policing your community.
It all comes back to that conversation we had just a second ago. Holding your people accountable, holding yourself and the guy next to you accountable. My Pinfighter posse, they are lovely, amazing people. They're always like, if somebody does something racist or something inappropriate in chat, they're all over it, dude. Like everybody's policing everybody. Everybody's keep making sure everybody's safe. They're trying to let me know. The mods are trying to take care of it. As a great community, and that's where we have to be. It's time to end the reign of terror of these douchebags that are cheating in game, that are harassing people, that are holding Twitch streams hostage.
That shit right there, man. Fuck, man. Holding a Twitch streamer hostage, like the whole blackmail thing, that blew my fucking mind.
What do you mean?
People are actually doing that. So I don't know the name of the streamer specifically.
But we don't need to name names here. That's fine.
There's 3 other streamers that were partnered going to this guy saying, thank you, Sam. But anyways, they were going to this guy saying, if you don't host us, send us viewers and stuff like that, we're gonna make sure you're not gonna fucking climb up in the ladders. And then this whole thing where people started coming out, he was like, dude, I've got fucking messages. I've got Discord messages. And he posted them all on blast, put everybody on blast. And they're like, holy shit, they were blackmailing this guy. They were blackmailing the crap out of him, which to me, like, honestly, dude, like, you know, this may be an unpopular opinion. This may be something super basic, and I might not have the greatest feedback from it. But honestly, in this day and age, there's so many people that are competitive, which I think is a good thing because we wouldn't have monolithic skyscrapers if people weren't competitive. But if you stop being a fucking shithead, like there is such thing as common courtesy and fucking and manners. Like that is something that I feel like isn't being taught, like manners. Even if I don't agree with you, I mean, Penn and I, Raccoon and I, even Clink and I, him and I actually the other day when we were talking got a little loud at each other. But we all have enough manners and respect for that other person to be like, this is what I'm feeling. Oh, okay. You know, and we had the conversation with it. If you just stop being a fucking shithead, I mean, honestly, a lot of this stuff would clear up. And with the whole sexual harassment thing, it's always been something where I think people do to try to get one over because that's a basic human, not I don't want to say it right, but like a basic human
decency.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why am I going to hold my 50,000 viewers above your 27 because I want to get in your pants? Like, what kind of man does that make you, or woman, or vice versa? Anything like that? It makes you a piece of shit, if you ask me. Like, honestly, like, because honestly,
there it is.
Look, we're all agreeing with grenade. What is this?
Well, this is a
what
topic
happened?
we'll agree on.
Yeah,
What happened to, like, if you want to get to know somebody, like, I did not grow up in the gaming world. I've always played games myself. I have not been in anything. I was in the army. I went to bars a fuck ton, right? I've always been that guy who was hammered trying to talk to this girl and then going home. But that was where it stopped. Was I talked to them? If they said, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, I'm like, I got it. And I never pushed the situation.
And then you stumble away.
Exactly. What the fuck happened to that mentality?
So that brings up an interesting thing
issue,
with some of these allegations of sexual harassment that are out there, and some of this harassment and bullying, not just in the sexual nature, but is that might happen at a bar at, say, TwitchCon or something, where some guy goes up to a chick, talks to her, and okay, the chick says, no, I'm not interested, lets him down, but then they go back and their community is retaliatory, or they become retaliatory because
that's part
of
the
that.
story too, right? It's not always
that becomes the problem then.
Right? Yeah, honestly, my personal opinion on that, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but if I have my own community and like I have a certain few people that I'll like actually talk to about my certain personal problems, but if my community finds out about it and they start bum rushing that other person, be like, stay the fuck out of it because you're only going to make it worse for me. Or you're only going to make it worse for the other person. This is not a me and my community situation. This is a me and that person situation. So stay the fuck out of it.
Again, it comes down to policing your own community and holding them
Exactly.
accountable. No matter what, if it's a microaggression, a large aggression, it doesn't matter. You have to hold them accountable for every step, every level of that, because it's going to affect the future. Like if they can get away with being sexually promiscuous, like that's not the word, sexually advancing on another streamer because they're hot or some shit like that, then and that's okay, but then it starts leveling up and now they're starting to talk about that person and they're negatively talking about them and why they're not accepting my advances and such like that comes down to policing your
that's a part of the discussion that we're missing. So we haven't brought it up yet, and I want to make sure we touch on it here, and because it's missing from a lot of the articles I'm reading in the Facebook post.
Hold on a sec, Pen. You're lagging pretty bad right now.
Pen fire. Yeah.
Is your Steam open? Is your Steam open in the background downloading something?
No, my Steam's closed. I don't know why I'm lagging, sir. You guys aren't lagging, it's just me. Oh no.
Yeah, it's just you. You're coming in as robot.
Robot
42.
Coming in broken and distorted.
How do I fix it?
RoboPen.
Oh no.
You haven't fixed
anyway,
it, sir.
Continue with what you were saying. Hopefully it'll fix itself.
I don't know if I can. Can we fix it? Can I disconnect and come back into the call?
Don't disconnect and reconnect. It'll screw up everything. There we go. Okay, you're good now. You're good now.
Am I good?
You're good.
Hi, everybody. Have a beautiful time. Okay, so I'm
He's a little delayed, but
there's a little. I'm better now. I appreciate that, guys. Yeah, Sarah. Hi. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I don't know what's going on. Maybe internet had a little flicky moment. But what I want to touch on here, guys, is a lot of these people that are making these accusations. It's some people are bringing into question why. Well, let me tell you guys why and what's going on for those of you that may not know. This is our livelihood for a lot of us, especially these ones that are Twitch partners and the ones that are in the competitive gaming communities like a Smite or a place where this is their actual job. They actually make $30,000 to $50,000 a year in some of these situations that I've seen. This is their job and their livelihood that gets wrecked because other Twitch partners have their community come attack them and dox them, and now they can't stream, now they can't earn. Now they can't do things. Now they're some of these stories, when you actually go through and read the actual stories, not the fucking Facebook articles, put that Facebook stuff down and go read the actual stuff that these people are actually writing. Some of them have lost homes. They've lost marriages. They've lost all kinds of things through the course of these accusations. And as time has gone on, because of the retaliation from these Discord communities, from Twitch communities, from Twitter communities, for these big time personalities, they will bury a person into the dirt. And they're done. So when they come out and talk about it, it's not because they didn't like this guy's stream and they want to bring him down, or they got beat by them in the match and they're retaliating. They've lost everything in multiple cases. We talked about there being 70 plus cases at the start of this conversation that the New York Times reported. At least 12 of those, because I've read those myself, at least 12 lost a home.
Wow.
That this is, this is a huge thing for these people. So stop bringing into question why they're doing it. That's not the conversation we should be having as a community. It's not, well, why are they accusing DM Brandon? Why is this happening? That's not the conversation. That's the wrong details. That's not what we should be talking about.
But on the other side of that coin, Samthrax Zero brought up a great thing. Like, and it's something I was trying to fight for the other day when we found this was going on. A lot of them, and I'm not saying, I'm not going against anybody. This is just strictly providing some context. A lot of it is accusations. And in an economy nowadays, you're guilty until proven innocent. But with that said, like, say some of these guys haven't done anything and they're just getting tossed under the bus under Twitter or something like that. And then it comes around to find out that, you know what, this person lied. And I like to bring up that football player who got accused of misdoings. Yeah. And then he turned around and lost his scholarship, went to jail. And then a few years after his jail term, she came out on Facebook saying, oh, she fucking lied about it. He lost so much money. He lost an NFL contract. He lost a bunch.
That's a great story. So let me actually give that full story, because let's give context, right? So I actually remember this story. A huge football nerd too, guys. Imagine that. So with Manti Te'o, what happened there is he was dating somebody long distance, and he was super excited about it. Draft was coming up. He had this girlfriend or whatever, but it turns out he was getting catfished, right? So it wasn't actually a girl; it was a dude, and the dude was made up this whole person and was dating Manti Te'o and all this stuff. But what happened is ESPN, NFL Network, all these news sources jumped on the story and go, well, his character's in doubt because he made up this girlfriend, because that was the initial report before anybody looked into it. The initial report, the initial accusation was he didn't have a girlfriend. He's lying to everybody about it. If he's lying about having a girlfriend for a year, then clearly he's lying about other things. And we got to take a look at his checkered past. Boom, lose money, fall in the draft. Right? That's what happened. So we learned a lot as media from that situation. Peter King wrote an amazing article for the Sports Illustrated. It was in Sports Illustrated, calling himself and everybody out for that, because like Renee's saying, the accusations are there, but before we all jump on it and report it as objective fact, we need to double check before we're going to do it. That's why I'm not up here throwing names around. I'm not citing accusations directly. We're talking about the culture and the community of what's going on here, but you don't want to jump onto a platform like this and start saying, well, DM Brandon did this and Lodo did this. Exactly. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to talk about the culture, because that's, if we end the culture, it doesn't matter. We don't have to sort through this later on if we're not doing it, if we're ending that culture, if we're policing our communities. We don't have to worry about these false accusations, and because the media wants to be the first. You want to be the first to tell the story, so you're going to jump on and go, look, this guy raped that girl. This guy raped that girl is what you're reporting, instead of here's the allegations, here's the context. We're not reporting anymore. We're just sensationalizing it. Does that make sense?
Right, and that comes a lot to do with our current economy and our current society, and how we are much more susceptible to negative feedback and much more interested in negative occurrences than positive. Now, that being said, it's very, very important that we take every accusation seriously. We can't just dismiss any accusations because it looks like it could be de facto until otherwise proven. So there's no guilty proven innocent. There's no innocent proven guilty. It's just, this is what's being said. These are the people saying it. This is what is going on. And we need to do something about it, because otherwise it would not be at this level, guys. There's no way 70-something cases like this would be happening.
Let me ask you a question, Raccoon.
Yeah.
Out of the 70 cases, how many do you believe that are all true?
You know what? It's not up to me to decide that.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's an important question.
And it's you have to look at it individual by individual cases.
And that's what I'm trying to say is, I feel like all this stuff is a case by case basis. Like everything needs to be looked at
and it should be handled that way. It shouldn't just be one lump sum of cases.
You can't blanket statement some or blanket take care of something like this. There's no way. But now I want to finish what I was saying though. Like you're 100% right. Now what happens if, like, let's say okay, I'm trying to figure out how to word this 100% right. Okay, so with these people in the fields of streaming, gameplay, competitive esports, and stuff like that, say someone decided to come out and say something wrong, right? What are you doing, dog? It's not a place for you. he got he's like under my desk. Say it comes out to be false. Everything that happened was false, and he did everything he could to prove himself right. But the wildfire that spread from the whole communities, social networking and stuff like that, has already screwed his life over. How does this person compensate that other person? Well, they can't. So one like that's why stuff like this I've always felt doesn't need to be put out on Facebook. It needs to be handled within certain communities, or not communities, but like certain like the law and stuff like that. I guess I could say
the law with the people involved. If you're in Twitch,
right.
Send it to
Exactly.
Twitch. This happened.
Because,
this happened, and but then nothing happens, and that's why this stuff ends up on
exactly.
Twitch isn't doing anything.
But then at that point in time, right there, it turns into a domino effect. Like some people are telling the truth, and some people aren't. And that's the bottom line: is some people aren't as well, and that's screwing over people and their livelihood. Like say those 7 guys lost. One of those 7 guys, I don't know who we're talking about. Are out of the 30 or whatever, 7 people lost their houses already. What happens if 3 of those people lost their house for something they didn't even know what was going on? You know what I mean?
I mean, it's a fair point. I was like looking through the list, though. I haven't seen too much of that. I mean, I get where you're coming from with the, this, we don't want to falsely accuse somebody and they get assassinated character wise. I could use, I didn't know if I was going to bring this up, but to use myself as an example, talking to Raccoon about this before, as a supervisor for the Home Depot, this came up and I was accused of harassment and making a woman feel uncomfortable in the workplace or whatever. We had to do this whole investigation, but thankfully Home Depot is one of the companies that turns out has an awesome HR program. And they know how to handle this. They were able to dig right into the details and clear my name pretty quickly, and it didn't spread and become this thing that assassinated me as a character, right? It turned out to be, of course, it was a bunch of crap, right? I mean, I made a mistake, but I didn't do anything crazy. It's just a logistical mistake as far as like being alone with somebody, kind of a situation. But
so
to make a long story short, like the point is, in this case, Home Depot was there to, before anything happened, before they said, you know what, Matt, go on administrative leave. You know what, to the associate, you're fired. Before anything happened, before any action was taken, they dug into it. They reacted to it quickly, promptly. They were there the next day to deal with the situation, right? And to make a stance, like, we don't stand for this behavior. Let's check into Matt. Let's see what's going on. Interview me and the associates, the team. And at the end of the day, everything came out okay. I was falsely accused. They moved her to a different team. Things were handled above board and taken care of. But that's kind of the point in these stories that we're talking about. There's nobody doing that. There's nobody digging into the situation, trying to find out what's happened. Twitch is just either remaining silent, banning and not saying anything, or doing nothing.
Exactly. Right. That's the point. Is like all of these occasions, I can't say all because I'm not 100% sure. From what I have viewed, these occasions are because nothing has been done prior. Right.
Right.
These aren't new, rapidly happening at this moment situations. That's
a fair point too.
Taken place and haven't been handled, and that need to be discussed. We are not naming names. The reason why we're not naming names is because it's going to stay accusations. But the goal of this discussion isn't to point blame at any of these individuals. It's just to state that this is what's happening and we got to change, right?
And the way to change is, well, of course, like Twitch could have some sort of guidelines and a group of employees to handle situations like this better, I think, than they're handling now. But really what it comes down to is us as a community is stopping it before it starts, and us being vigilant as a gaming community to make sure that these kind of things don't happen, right? Then it like if us on our Discord, we saw something like this happening, reporting it, stopping it before it happens.
Because I can tell you 100% that almost all of these situations were viewed, were caught, someone's seen it, and they didn't say anything.
Right, exactly. And I know Penn has heard this probably 1,020 times, even more than that. Like when we're in the military, it was always keep things at the lowest level. And that always meant to take care of it, because if it's kept at the lowest level, that means that wildfire of shit that's going to happen has already been stomped out. You know what I mean? Like, you took care of it. I'm not saying go beat someone's ass or anything like that.
So what he's referring to for the uninitiated, keep it at the lowest level. So of course you have your chain of command, right? and you got your little brand new private out of there. Then you have like your junior NCOs. Then you have your NCO, which is like your team leader in charge of the team. Hopefully, you could take care of it right there, because maybe there's 5 people involved max, right? Like you're taking care of it right there. If it's got to go up to the company commander, if the CEO of Twitch is having to deal with it, it's too late.
Yep. 100%.
Yep. That's where
And
we're at.
with that being said, I'm kind of watching chat a little bit. We got Sad, Samthrax. I want to make it clear. We're just trying to take a look at every viewpoint and every opinion, and we're not taking sides or anything like that. We're just making sure like everything is based on discussion is discussed. And Sarah brought up a great point. People need to be educated on the signs.
That's correct.
I think people themselves are definitely a lot of people. I don't want to say biased. Like they have that glossy look over their eyes. Like I know there's times when I'm playing Destiny and I get so zoned in that I look over at my chat and there's 50 things that have already gone off. And I'm like, holy shit. That's where your moderators step in, but your moderators, you have to make sure that those people have the same.
So that comes down to don't become complacent in this. Be vigilant.
There we go. That's the word we need.
Be vigilant in this and be proactive in stopping this kind of behavior before it gets out of control.
Yep. So this feels like a good time to go ahead and switch over to our Q&A segment, because chat's really engaged. Looks like they're wanting to ask some questions.
Absolutely.
I think we covered the main. Just to kind of sum up, while you guys go ahead and get your questions ready for the Q&A portion here for the next 10 to 15 minutes or so. If you guys are asking questions, we'll hang out, we'll answer them. You can ask about the topic, ask about the news items, ask about the games we reviewed, movies we reviewed, or this big giant topic that we're discussing. Please ask your questions.
Someone brought up the Twitch Security Council. Okay, yeah, Samthrax. Yes, the Security Council gets put in place for a reason. I feel like that's where us streamers can talk to the higher ups at Twitch. The only thing that made that Security Council a little off the wall was one person started flexing their abuse of power. But I think even that, like, if you look at stuff like that, those aren't the whole videos. Like that is everything that's going on. Yeah. If you go back and watch a bit more, people triggered her to say that on there. Like they got her to say that. Like it was a bait and switch.
Yeah, I like Sarah's point here where she said, "Oh God, Q&A." My brain immediately goes blank. That's. I think that happens. We have covered so much, and then you guys have questions. You can ask about us too. Like I'll answer questions about me.
So
bread and butter.
Yeah, like there's story behind that. There's stuff.
So all the beasts brought up a pretty big point here. It's monstrously hard to prove cases of abuse and sexual mistreatment in the society, even when it's really happened. There's an imbalance that we need to account for when looking for these accusations, because the starting point is not equal to the vast majority of the weight that's on people who have genuinely been victimized. So, just
that's pretty shit.
It's hard to prove.
It's hard to prove. But it needs to be done because these people are really brave for coming out and saying that this happened to me, and that's really brave of them to do that. And if you're watching this now and something's happened to you, please report that because
the time's now.
The time is now. The time is right now.
The farther you wait to take care of something, the harder it is going to be to prove. Like the harder and harder it gets day by day. Like. So I'm a firm advocate. I understand it's hard. I do. It's just get it out as soon as possible,
So bread and butter or dill pickles?
Yeah, bread and butter, bro. Bread and butter all the way, even on sandwiches.
What's pickles?
You know what? I got an air fryer, and I'm gonna have to go with the bread and butter. Toss some butter on that bread, stick it in the air fryer for 3 minutes.
Pickles, fried pickles. You see what I'm doing here? See where I went? Like that's obviously
it's not a deep
winner.
fryer; it's an air fryer. So you don't have the oil.
Well, you're un-American. That's
wow. Now
it's got to be a deep fryer. That's the only thing.
Sir.
America.
I tried to put bananas in there. It didn't work out too well.
Bananas that work in an air fryer?
They kind of worked. Got a little sticky.
What is with your guys' diets?
Isn't that a compliment now, Coach? I think it might be.
What? What, sir?
I called him un-American.
Un-American.
It might be a compliment now. I don't know.
I mean, sort of.
Yeah, Sam's Canadian, so he's over here like, I mean.
Yeah, so I grew up in Detroit, and we had this thing called Canadian bacon.
I love Canadian bacon.
I remember that.
I prefer Canadian bacon over regular bacon.
Oh, thank you so much, Mackins, for that thought, by the way, man. I appreciate that. I know Mackins, for those who don't know, he's there in chat. He's a sub to this channel. He's my dude that I play a lot of games with. I don't know what he's going to do for a week when I'm having my surgery, so.
He's gonna be in my channel.
Yeah, Penn, are you gonna be here next week with us, or
yeah, I should be here for next Monday. That's the plan. I should be good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Penn has surgery this Wednesday. Everybody wish him well for his surgery.
He's getting his beard fluffed, guys.
Yep.
He's going to a professional beard fluffer.
I doesn't need it. My beard is glorious, sir.
But it could always be fluffed.
Well, if nobody else has any questions, we'll start kind of wrapping things up here, going over our Tetrad schedule this week. Please feel free to continue asking questions while we're going over the stuff. We'll pause and answer for you. But coming up on Tetrad this week, tomorrow night, Grenade and I are going to be doing Light Level Tuesdays, playing through some Destiny, having a good time with that. I got to get some more light level because, it's reset day.
Me too. Yeah. I'm a little lackluster. I'm a little lacklight right now.
On Wednesday, Raccoon. What's up, Grenade?
Hold on. I want to ask chat here because a lot of people are new and a lot of people are in my community and a lot of people are Penn's and Raccoon's community. If Raccoon and I sat down and did like coffee in the morning where we just ran easy 2-man stuff that we could do, the 2-person fire team, and I grilled her on the lore of Destiny over coffee because she's very, very intelligent when it comes to it, who would watch it? Would you watch it? Would you enjoy it?
I would watch that. I like chill coffee streams.
I feel like I need to study.
Don't all answer at once.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, co-gens, Sam Drax. Chill stream's good. You know when it comes to me and Grenade in a stream talking about Destiny, it's not going to be a chill stream, guys. It's just a little bit.
It's just because Raccoon loves everything and Grenade hates on it all.
Anything about us? I like the more high stress stuff in Destiny. She likes the more laid back stuff, but I think that's because she doesn't have a fire team that's willing to not yell at each other.
Raccoon, the question was asked: how do you get your hair so nice, and how can I do that?
It is so dead, guys. It is so dead. I've dyed my hair a million times. That's how. It's literally was pink and now it's some yellow orange color. It changes a lot.
Yep.
Expect a new color in the next 2 weeks.
So tomorrow night, check out Light Level Tuesday. Wednesday, we've got the Community Spotlight Wednesday. This week, Raccoon's going to be taking that stream, and one of our lovely viewers and streamers that we're going to be highlighting this week. So make sure you check that out from 6 to 10 on Wednesday. Thursday, the 4 of us are going to be getting back together for Tetrad Thursday. We're still trying to figure out which game we're going to play, but it'll be something awesome that all 4 of us can play on a quad Tetrad co-stream, and it's awesome to see that. Hopefully this week. We'll see if Penn's going to be here. It might be a tri-stream. Friday, join Grenade for Gentlemen's Fridays with Hand Grenade from 8 to 10. Grenade, what are you talking about this week?
Oh, so last week I had some issues going on. I wasn't able to do it, but I've got all the veterans coming in, and it's like I said, it's going to be how veterans deal with PTSD and issues and how they use video games for it. And most of the guys that I'll be playing with will probably be playing some Warzone. It's going to be the same thing we were supposed to do last week. So I'm literally going back.
The Warzone in Warzone.
Warzone. Wow. Wow.
That
so
sounds...
we got some questions.
So hold on. Let's finish the schedule first, then we'll get back to the questions. Saturday, join Raccoon for Game Night Saturdays, where she picks a different community game and plays it with all of you viewers. And then Sunday, we're going to try to get in a weekly episode rerun. We're going to rerun this and then answer questions for those viewers at the end. So let's get back to some of your guys' questions. What have we got in here?
Let me go real quick. Let me go. I had a question, and honestly, I'm not the best person to answer this. Believe it or not, a Raccoon would be better to answer it. But I do think there's going to be a huge fucking war when the Dark shows up.
Wait, ask the question first. Ask the question.
Do you think in the next expansions there's going to be a Marvel Civil War level of light versus dark? I do and I don't. The reason why I say that is I think what's going on is you got Eris, you got the Drifter, and you got the Stranger. They're all teaming up. I think what they're going to be doing is kind of be doing the low key shit that Cade would have taken care of before. That isn't really on the books. That really isn't off the books. That the Vanguard won't take care of because they don't want to be wrong. And I do think that, honestly, personally, we're going to see a different storyline of maybe we're not all good.
So,
all right.
Can I comment on that real quick?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
We're not
Maybe.
getting that. We're not getting that. We're not getting that. At least this next expansion, we're not getting at the next expansion. Third expansion, I can't say it's way too far out. But just remember, guys, the Stranger means time travel. Just saying. So, on that note,
is Cade going to come back?
I think it was actually you saying that, Raccoon, that it wasn't actually time travel. It was actually an alternate dimension because of that ghost. But I know they said that they're not going to explore that later.
Technically, it's still time travel. So we'll go into that. We'll go into that on the question, Dale. About it.
No, Cade, don't do that to me. I feel you, Sarah.
Maybe for Light Level Tuesday. Maybe for Light Level
coffee.
Tuesday, you guys can dive in to the subject of what you think the next expansion is going to do.
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to give us ice powers, and it's going to be ridiculously OP, and we're all going to hate it at first. Then they're going to nerf the dick off of it, and it's not going to do anything.
Darkness, not ice.
Darkness powers, right?
Darkness powers. You know, what I've noticed, though, is every single expansion coming out is all about darkness, right? You have Shadowkeep for World of Warcraft. You had Shadow Bringers for Final Fantasy 14. And then the next one in Destiny is going to be Shadow something.
Right? We had Shadowkeep last year.
All this Shadow stuff is coming out. Anyway, I just find it to be interesting.
When you're done, Sarah, who do you think the next Vanguard is going to be? Or do you think they're going to stick to the Dare?
The next Vanguard? What do you mean the next Vanguard?
Cade was the Hunter Vanguard. And in the Dare, it says whoever kills him takes up the mantle of the Vanguard. Now, technically being Aldrin killed him, but Aldrin was also taken over by Riven. So
we're not hiring a dragon to be our Hunter Vanguard,
exactly.
sir.
So Sam says Mara Sov is going to be.
I think Vanguard is slowly going to get. Zavala is already struggling with what's going on. As we bring the darkness more and more in, I think Vanguard's going to stop being a thing. I think that's what they're moving toward.
They have mentioned that in the lore as of Shadowkeep. They dropped in some of the information about how the Vanguard is having trouble actually staying stable since this is processed out. Now, I know we missed did we miss any questions? I feel like we missed a few questions there.
I feel like this is a conversation that we could go on forever.
You guys could go on forever
so
with
on
that.
Note, Clink, I feel like you
on that note, we're going to wrap up tonight's show. Thank you all so much for joining us here for this in-depth discussion about toxic offenders in gaming and the nerddom at large. Make sure you join us next Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific for the business of video games. Yeah, we'll be talking about DLCs, pre-orders, season passes, microtransactions, and all that stuff that we see in the business of video games. And of course, our regularly scheduled programming all week long here on Tetrad TV. So thank you all so much for joining us. All of your chat was so appreciated. Thanks for participating. You guys are awesome. We couldn't do it without you. So thanks so much to all of you viewers. We love you all. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.